AITA for getting angry with my mother when she suggested that my boyfriend and I sleep separately. I, 19-year-old female, have been in a 2-year relationship with my boyfriend Kevin, 22-year-old male. I am pursuing my graduation and live in my hometown of Vermont, but separate from my parents. My boyfriend works a full-time job in New York and visits me once a month. My mother, Melissa, 42-year-old female, apparently adores my boyfriend, but when it comes to our choices, my mom doesn't respect them. However, my father, Keith, 45-year-old male, is different. A chill gentleman. My mother often treats us like children, attempting to restrict our physical affection and insisting that we sleep separately when we visit my parents. I find this behavior frustrating, so now I avoid visiting home with my boyfriend. However, recently, my father invited us to join a family trip to a lake house. Despite my reservations about visiting home with my boyfriend, I accepted the invitation, and we joined them. Everything was going well on the first day of the trip. But at night, the first night of the trip, I had an argument with my mother when she suggested that my boyfriend and I sleep with my younger siblings. I objected and told her that we are not children but a couple, and we need a separate room, and asked her that if there was no room available, we should rent an extra room in the same hotel or different. However, my mother insisted that there was no need for another room and asked us to follow her arrangement. I objected again, expressing that she always disregards our choices and freedom and treats us like children. We are two consenting adults, and my mother, or anyone else, does not have the right to force us to sleep separately. My mother said I am always focusing on sex, and that my thinking does not go beyond that. She also mentioned that it was a family trip, not a romantic safari, which made me very angry. I don't understand why, but my mother always tries to impose such instructions only on me. Interestingly, my brother, Henry, 21-year-old male, and his girlfriend got a separate room on the same trip, but there was no room available for us. Honestly, it is insulting and humiliating. When my older brother, John, and his wife, Emma, intervened, my mother, hiding her real intentions, said she was not against our choices, but it was due to the sleeping arrangements that she asked us to sleep with the children. I said she was lying and told my brother that she intentionally made such sleeping arrangements so that we might not sleep together. I also told him that when I suggested renting a hotel for us, she also disagreed. Though my brother agreed that we, as adults, have the right to live the way we choose, he said I overreacted and should have handled the situation differently in a better way. He also mentioned that I was ruining the trip for all of them. I did not expect such a response from my brother. By the way, at that time my father was on a walk. Otherwise, he would have sided with me. The truth. Disappointed with my mother and sister, my boyfriend and I left the hotel and rented a room in another one. When my father learned about the argument upon returning from a walk, he called me and asked me to return to join them again. He said that he was going to arrange a separate room for us, but I refused and told him sarcastically that we didn't want to spoil their trip. In the morning, we returned to the city, and the next month, we went on another trip alone as a couple. Before that night, I used to visit home once or twice a month, but now it has been 4 months since I last went home. My father has asked me multiple times to come home, urging me to forget what happened that night. However, my mother hasn't contacted me. Last week, when my boyfriend visited me, he suggested that I shouldn't take that argument too seriously and should visit home whenever possible. He also mentioned that perhaps my mother's suggestions were not wrong given the circumstances. Though I still believe that no one, not even my parents, has the right to dictate to us, I am confused and conflicted about my response to my mother's suggestions that night. So AITA for getting angry with my mother?